Coach Joe Kennedy is in the national spotlight, taking his case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. The issue at hand, whether praying on the field with players after games was unconstitutional.
I just want to be able to practice my faith after a football game.
Kennedy was an assistant football coach at Bremerton High School in Washington State. In 2008, he started praying by himself after games.
Nobody should have to be fired or worried about their job if they show any signs of faith.
At first, his prayer was a quiet moment by himself. Players eventually began to join him, though, as he prayed on the 50-yard line. The school district says Kennedy's religious speech could have the effect of pressuring other students to pray and open the district to lawsuits. Officials told him he would have to stop if he wanted to keep his job.
It came to the point where they said, if you were being able to be seen anywhere on the football field in prayer, then we're going to have to suspend you, and ultimately it ended my career.
The school district says Kennedy was violating the Constitution. While some parents supported him, others said their sons felt pressured.
If he goes to the 50-yard line, he has a message that he wants to deliver, and so the players would follow. The harm is to those who are the minority students, the minority faiths, the students of no faith. That's where the harm comes, that they are being pressured into doing something that they don't fundamentally agree with.
As a government employee, his act of faith could be seen as an endorsement of religion by the district. In oral arguments Monday, liberal justices brought up this point. Justice Elena Kagan expressing concern players could feel coerced into participating. Kennedy's attorney pushed back on that notion, stressing there was no evidence of coercion on Kennedy's record. At the same time, many conservative justices appeared sympathetic to the coach's case. Justice Samuel Alito asking whether a school employee could be punished for carrying a Ukrainian flag on school property. And Justice Brett Kavanaugh questioning whether the school could fire someone for making the sign of the cross before a game. Whichever way the court rules, this case could have major implications for the role of religion in public life.
This case is going to answer how far teachers retain their constitutional rights. Do they maintain them in the school, in the cafeteria, out here on the football field?
And a decision from the court is expected in June. In Washington, D.C., Jenna Browder, CBN News.
With us now from Washington is Coach Kennedy and Jeremy Dice from the Liberty Institute. So new accounts say the conservative justices were sympathetic to your case. How did you feel how the hearing went?
You know, I think it went all right. I didn't really understand much of what they were talking about, but my lawyers tell me that it was pretty good.
Urgent players feeling pressured to join the prayers.
Can you say that again?
What's your thought or response to concerns of coercion? Your players feeling pressured to join in on the prayers.
I got you. The school district and I, we really worked hard together to eliminate any of those what ifs, and that's what they were, a bunch of hypotheticals. What if a student felt pressured, or what if a student didn't want to participate? And it really came down to, I said, that's fine. My thing was between me and God and nobody else. So when they said that, I agreed, and I told them we were on a plan of action that I was not going to pray with any of the football players ever again. And I held true to that. That's, you know, every game after that, I prayed by myself, and that's what it came down to, is them punishing me for saying a private prayer by myself.
So you feel the school was taking action because this was religious speech?
Well, it was hard to argue that from how they suspended him and then terminated him later on by saying that because students could see him engage in what they called demonstrative religious activity, that was enough to violate the Establishment Clause. But of course, I think what we saw yesterday from the justices of the Supreme Court is that reality paints a much different picture. What Coach was doing was just simply taking 15 to 30 seconds on a knee by himself at the 50-yard line. And the First Amendment clearly protects that kind of activity. And if it doesn't, then the promise of the First Amendment is all but dead.
What are the implications of this case for the role of religion in public life?
Oh, they're enormous, especially for public school teachers and coaches all around the country. There was a promise made by the Supreme Court back in 1969 that students and teachers would retain their First Amendment rights when they walk through the schoolhouse gates. What Bremerton has asked for here, what they have said, is that basically Coach Kennedy has to shed those rights in order to go onto the football field. But of course, that's not true. But if the Ninth Circuit's decision is allowed to stand, then teachers that bow their head over their lunch in the cafeteria and students can see them, well, they could be terminated. If they wear a crucifix or a hijab or a yarmulke while teaching, those are grounds now for termination according to the Ninth Circuit, because those are all demonstrative religious activities. But the First Amendment means that no one should be put to the choice of their faith and their livelihood.
Coach Kennedy, I want to give you the last word. How are you feeling now? Do you look still to get back out there coaching?
Oh, absolutely. It's great to actually, it feels like the first time I actually had a court that looked at the facts and I was represented very well, and the facts were listened to. So I'm hopeful, and I can't wait to get back on the football field.
All right, Joe Kennedy and Jeremy Dice, thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. Of course, we'll continue to follow this case.